The air crackled with static. It was more than just radio interference. Laura, a late-night radio DJ, stumbled upon it. A coded message buried beneath layers of encryption. It spoke of Echelon, a top-secret government program, its purpose shrouded in mystery. But one thing was clear, it held dangerous secrets. Someone was desperate to expose them. Laura as Laura. Driven by curiosity and a thirst for truth, I dug deeper. I deciphered the code. Each fragment of information only deepened the mystery. Who was behind the message? And why was I chosen to receive it? Little did I know, my life was about to change. Forever. Days turned into sleepless nights. Laura found herself trapped in a cycle of anxiety and anticipation. Each tick of the clock seemed to echo louder in the silence of her room, a constant reminder of the mystery she was entangled in. The coded message echoed in Laura's mind, a riddle she couldn't solve. It was as if the symbols were taunting her, dancing just out of reach of her understanding. She spent hours poring over them, trying to decipher their meaning, but they remained stubbornly elusive. Just as she began to doubt her own sanity, a call came. The shrill ring of the telephone cut through the oppressive silence, startling her. She hesitated for a moment, her hand hovering over the receiver before finally picking it up. A payphone, ringing in the dead of night. The sound was eerie, almost otherworldly, as if it were a call from another dimension. Laura's heart raced as she listened to the voice on the other end. A voice, rough and low, whispered on the other end. It was a voice that sent chills down her spine, filled with a sense of urgency and danger. Marcus, as Marcus. You have something that belongs to me. The words were simple, but the implication was clear. This was no ordinary call. This was a demand, a command that she couldn't ignore. Meet me tomorrow, noon, the old lighthouse. The call ended abruptly, no name, no explanation, just a chilling demand. Laura's heart pounded. She knew she had no choice but to comply, but the fear of the unknown gnawed at her. Fear warred with her insatiable curiosity. Who was this man? What did he want? The questions swirled in her mind, each one more pressing than the last. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that every move she made was being scrutinized. The message, the code, it was all connected. She could feel it in her bones. There was a larger picture, a grand design that she was only beginning to glimpse. The pieces were starting to fall into place, but the full image was still shrouded in mystery. She had stumbled onto something bigger than she could have imagined. The conspiracy board in front of her was a testament to the complexity of the situation. Each clue, each string, represented a piece of the puzzle that she had to solve. The weight of it all threatened to overwhelm her, but she knew she couldn't give up. Not now. Not when she was so close to the truth. The old lighthouse stood on a desolate stretch of coastline, a beacon of the past, now forgotten and decaying, the perfect place for a clandestine meeting. Laura arrived, her nerves on edge. She scanned the shadows, her senses heightened. Was she being followed? Then she saw him. Laura, as Laura. He stood on the top platform of the lighthouse, a solitary figure against the backdrop of the stormy sky. He was tall and lean, his face obscured by the shadows of his fedora. He motioned for me to join him. Each step up the winding stairs felt heavy, pregnant with anticipation and dread. The wind howled around them as they stood on the platform. The salty air was thick with tension. Marcus, as Marcus. You have something that puts your life in danger. He turned, his eyes sharp and calculating, boring into hers. Marcus, as Marcus. The information you received, it belongs to Echelon. Laura as Laura. Who are you, and what is Echelon? The man hesitated, then sighed. Marcus, as Marcus. My name is Marcus, and I used to work for them, until they took everything from me. The name Echelon hung in the air, heavy with unspoken implications. It was a name that carried weight, a name that seemed to echo through the corridors of power and secrecy. The very mention of it sent shivers down the spine, hinting at dark truths and hidden agendas. Marcus, his face etched with a mixture of anger and despair, began to speak. His voice trembled slightly, betraying the depth of his emotions. He had held on to these secrets for too long, and now, the burden was almost too much to bear.
It's a government program so secret, so powerful, that it operates beyond the bounds of law and accountability. Echelon is not just a name, it's a shadowy entity that manipulates and controls from behind the scenes. It has the power to shape destinies, to alter the course of history without anyone ever knowing. Echelon is not just about gathering intelligence. It's about control. Control of information. Control of the people. They monitor every conversation, every transaction, every move. They decide what the public should know and what should remain hidden. It's a web of surveillance and manipulation that ensnares everyone.
Laura listened, her mind struggling to grasp the enormity of his claims. She had always suspected that there were forces at play beyond her understanding, but this was beyond anything she could have imagined. The sheer scale of it was overwhelming. It sounded like something out of a spy thriller, yet the raw emotion in Marcus's voice told her that this was all too real. The fear, the anger, the desperation. It was all there, laid bare for her to see. This was not fiction. This was their reality.
They silenced anyone who got too close. My family, my colleagues, all gone. They were erased as if they never existed. The price of knowing too much, of getting too close to the truth, was too high. And now I fear that I am next. But I can't stay silent any longer. The world needs to know.
The wind whipped around them, carrying Marcus's words out to sea.
They are watching us, Laura. They are always watching. He spoke of powerful people, hidden figures who pulled the strings from the shadows. People who would stop at nothing to protect their secrets.
Fear gnawed at Laura's resolve. She was in over her head, but she had come too far to turn back.
"What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper above the howling wind.
Help me expose them, Laura. Help me bring them down.
Laura knew the risks. She had stumbled into a dangerous game, one with life or death stakes, but she also knew she couldn't ignore what she had learned. The truth, however dangerous, needed to be revealed.
"What information do you have?" she asked, her voice firm despite the tremor running through her.
Marcus reached into his coat and pulled out a small data chip.
This is just the beginning. It contains proof of Echelon's existence, proof of their crimes.
He placed the chip in her hand, his touch sending a chill down her spine. Section 8. Trust no one. The shadow of doubt. As Laura looked at the data chip, a wave of uncertainty washed over her. Could she trust Marcus? Was he who he claimed to be, or was this all an elaborate trap? The stakes were too high to take anything at face value.
"How can I be sure you're telling the truth?"
she asked, her voice laced with suspicion. Marcus understood her hesitation. Trust was a luxury they couldn't afford.
You can't, but you have to decide, Laura. Do you trust your instincts, or do you let fear paralyze you?
Section 9. The Echelon Conspiracy, Unraveling the Threads. The weight of the data chip felt heavy in Laura's hand. It was more than just a piece of technology. It was a key to unlocking a conspiracy that ran deeper than she could have ever imagined, but it was also a dangerous weapon, one that could bring down powerful people. Laura looked out at the stormy sea, her mind racing. She was caught in a web of secrets, lies, and betrayal, and she had a choice to make. Would she unravel the threads of the Echelon conspiracy, even if it meant putting herself in danger? Section 10. A race against time. The clock is ticking. The wind howled around them, a constant reminder of the danger that lurked in the shadows. Time was running out.
They are searching for this. They will stop at nothing to get it back. You need to disappear, Laura. They can't find you if they don't know where to look.
He looked at Laura, his gaze intense. Laura knew he was right. She was in too deep. But disappearing was not in her nature. She had a responsibility to expose the truth, to make sure that justice, however delayed, would be served. Section 11. The mystery deepens, a cliffhanger ending. The storm raged on, the wind howling like a beast unleashed, and the waves crashing violently against the jagged rocks below. The cliffside, shrouded in darkness and mystery, seemed to hold secrets that were waiting to be uncovered. Laura clutched the data chip tightly, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel the weight of its importance, the secrets it held that could change everything. Her fingers trembled as she thought about the journey that had led her here, to this very moment. The lighthouse, once a beacon of hope, now felt like a prison. Its walls, which had once provided safety and guidance, now seemed to close in on her, trapping her in a maze of uncertainty and fear. The flickering light from the storm outside cast eerie shadows, making the place feel even more foreboding. She was trapped in a web of intrigue, with no way out. Every step she took seemed to lead her deeper into the labyrinth of deception and danger. The more she uncovered, the more entangled she became, with each revelation pulling her further into the mystery. Marcus was gone, vanished into the night, leaving her with more questions than answers. Who could she trust? The shadows seemed to whisper secrets, and every creak of the old lighthouse made her jump. She felt the weight of the unknown pressing down on her, making it hard to breathe. What was the true purpose of Echelon? The organization that had always seemed so benevolent now appeared shrouded in secrecy and ulterior motives. The data chip in her hand was the key, but unlocking its secrets could come at a great cost. And could she expose the truth before it was too late? Laura knew that time was running out. The storm outside was a reminder of the chaos that awaited if she failed. She had to be strong, determined, and relentless in her pursuit of the truth. The storm raged on, mirroring the turmoil within her. One thing was certain: her life was on the brink of a dramatic change. The waves of uncertainty crashed against her resolve, but she knew she had to push forward, no matter the cost. Laura's life would never be the same again. The choices she made now would define her future, and the future of those she cared about. She could feel the weight of destiny on her shoulders, urging her to take the leap of faith. The Echelon Enigma had drawn her in, and there was no turning back. The path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but Laura knew she had to see it through to the end. The mystery had become a part of her, and she was determined to uncover the truth, no matter where it led.